how do you own your story? But also amongst ourselves here, it's a question I'd like to open the floor and just maybe raise questions to Peter and ask Peter, how did you survive that one? Questions that, somebody else somewhere there is willing to ask, but they're not here, right? Me, I've got a few questions. First of all, I would like to sort of look at, I'd maybe just as I may start with Peter, and maybe even I'll come to you. The insurance industry, when you look at healthcare,
yes.
Healthcare in a market like this is basically a loss-making business.
It is.
And if they sit, and very few, I think, unless companies that have taken healthcare independently out, one or two, that are profitable. You chase the same customers.
Yes.
Today, one guy says, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get the largest customer. You get that customer so long as they have cash flow for this year. You just hope have the largest customer. Yeah. But essentially, a lot of healthcare business is being subsidized by other general insurance business. Insurance business is old money.
It is.
I don't know anybody who tell me this insurance is not old money, the insurance sector. Maybe I think you keep a lot of money, then you decide I'm going to set up insurance. Maybe that's how it goes. How did you expect, how do you expect to compete with old money?
Yes.
Become a dominant player with old money? In an industry you knew was loss-making.
Right.
Okay? What would you have done differently? If you're told, relive your story today with what you know, how would you have done it?
My success was built on being different. First of all, insurance companies were very poor at branding. They still are. I created a brand and I made it a lifestyle brand. I would still do the same thing if I was to go back to insurance. Resolution Insurance it was Resolution Health then, became a lifestyle brand that people want to associate with. I personified my business to be a young lady, professional, either in advertising, law, or banking, lives in Kileleshwa, drives a RAV4. That time a RAV4 was a good car. Reads, there was that magazine called Miss, where she goes to do her hair. I could describe the brand and personification to the T, how much she earns, what she does. So for obvious reasons, I decided I will never behave like an insurance company. The colors that we even put. Where we position our brand is just be where people are feeling good in sports, in music. If you come and tell me, oh, sponsor diabetic work, absolutely not. I don't want to associate my business with illnesses, even though I'm doing it. So you have to be intentional of how you position the brand. Remember, I had worked in the industry for a long time, so I knew you have to take care of women. Gynecological conditions were never covered until I came into the industry. Wow. Maternity, HIV/AIDS. I designed the first HIV/AIDS program, and in the industry, we're just talking, this guy, he cannot last. There is no way he can last. And then the how. How do you execute? Okay? Insurance salespeople are people you have to bang doors from them. And remember, insurance is never, it's a push business, not a pull business. Don't run an ad and next people are going to call you. You still need a person to go and sell. So I decided I am not going to go to the market and recruit people from the industry. I'm going to create my own sales team. Teachers was my easiest one. Teachers have a way of communicating a product. So I went to the market and recruited teachers and trained them. And I decided I'm going to I'll be alone, I'll be different in this market. Of course, you launch a product, imitation comes, undercutting of price. But something that Pauline has said about never burning your bridges. Of course, majority of the customers that I converted were clients I had served with my employer's life. Okay. Then I also realized I have to lead. So you develop a product, someone will copy you. So you keep developing and designing and understanding what's happening in the market. And it worked. It worked. So I would do it the same way. Please note, I already knew about the loss-making angle. So I didn't come with a market penetration price. I was the most expensive. And when you're more expensive than the market, you have also to give value, either perceived or real value. So I already knew I would rather, my position was for every dollar you pay me, you get more benefits than everybody else. Right? And I made it a profitable business for that particular reason. I could charge fees, which are outside of insurance, you get. One of the big manufacturing entities in this market, I approached them and they told me, look, our headache is not actually risk transfer, we have the money, it's the service. What do we do? I told them, let me set up clinics for you. So I went to campuses and set up clinics. So my profits actually didn't come traditionally from insurance. It came from the other services that we offered. And that's why we were attractive to impact investors, because we went into areas where insurance companies didn't want to go. Then I built a brand. And investors, when they come into your office, they want to understand, how do people engage with this brand? The second thing that investors want to see is your governance structures. Even though I started a company that I controlled, I brought in the independent chairman. I was negotiating my own salary for a business that I own with an independent person who had never come from insurance, was an engineer. I had to be comfortable with discomfort, okay? Because I always had that gut issue. I had an uncle who had started an insurance company that had failed. I knew there were many. A company called MediPlus, that time was a trending company. And I'm being told, even colors munafanana, you will end up in the same direction. So if I was to go back, I'll do it exactly the same. Brand, make sure that I focus on the brand and then the how that I execute. Because you don't want to go to an industry and become also me and also run. And who too needs another insurance company? So you want to be different. And that's the same thing that I've done with my other businesses, to ensure that I'm thinking with the end in mind. Back to the issue of legacy. Remember I spoke earlier. Deciding whether you're doing this to sell and cash out, and go to the sunset, or you're building a business for legacy. I was very clear that I was building to sell. When you're talking about trust fund now, the businesses that I'm building, I'm doing it for legacy. Hopefully, my progeny will come into the business. They're still not in the business. They'll come into the business and they'll grow it and maybe scale in their own different ways, and make sure that I'm there as chairman guiding them on what we shouldn't do. Would I go back to the same industry? No. I would never start a health insurance company again. Done that. Writing a book. People are engaging with. I'm almost done with one of the books. So I'm doing 2 books. I'm doing my memoirs and I'm writing about my business life. And I've taken a position of talking about the bad, the dirty, the ugly. Because entrepreneurs talk about successes. In fact, most of the time I'm called for podcasts, I say, you're going to ask me about how I made $1 billion. That's not the conversation. It is the broken marriage, me not spending time with my children. It is when banks are not talking to you. Oh, by the way, I've gone full circle. Before bank CEOs used to come to my office and see me. And most of the times we were discussing interest rates on my deposits. After what happened, whenever I go to a bank, it has to go to a department that I didn't know called compliance. Check where this guy is taking this money. So I found that because I'm no longer taking money from. I do commercial debt now, but it's so hard. Oh, it's so hard. You find a credit manager who you taught I used to teach, and you can tell by his body language this guy will not approve this deal. And you've done everything right. Your cash flows are okay. The business proof of concept is there. Until I realized that there's a department that is in a banking called compliance. They Google, they check your socials. Kama kulikuwa na scandal, you are claiming a table in Carnival. That's what we used to do when we were younger. That alone, the fact that you are dancing and you are seen drunk somewhere. No, this guy is a bad risk. In that time, you're dancing with your customer who's going to pay you 200 million shillings. So you need to be very careful that you have to understand who your audience is. And guys, you do not own your business. The business owns you, your customer owns you, your bank owns you. You have to be comfortable with that situation. All of us sitting here, by the way, are going through a battle, an entrepreneurship battle. Yeah. Last night, I've lost a business where I was the cheapest. I ticked everything on the tender. And the guy on the other table is my friend, the guy approving. I just my GM sent me a text message from chairman, we just lost this. It was a business that we were sure we were going to get. Today I'm going to look for my pal and ask him, what really happened? Okay. You may just find that someone there just doesn't like you. And you have to be comfortable with it. That's business. So I did things right, but there are many lessons. Should I have set it as a legacy business? Absolutely. I should never have built the business to sell. Second, should I have sold to the party I sold to? No. And I still remember, I was in a rugby stadium in Dubai watching a game Kenya was playing. And then my transaction advisor calls me. I told my transaction advisor, I'm selling 15%. I'm looking for liquidity. Tells me, I've just met a founder. This founder does not want to be a minority. Have you ever considered giving away control? I said, let me think about it. I watched rugby. The next day, on a Sunday, my people went to watch the game. I stayed in a hotel room, and I just thought. And I did the simplest thing. I took a piece of paper, pros and cons. I said, you've run this business for 14 years. You have built a brand. Maybe to go to the next level, you need people with better money, better experience, who the legacy still came. That one day, you are not part of the business, but the business is growing. So when I flew back earlier, left my people in Dubai, came back to Nairobi, and we went to a hotel, and I meet these guys. First of all, I was negotiating with a guy half my age, okay? And he's the one who's controlling the agenda. The guy had never run a business. He's an associate of a founder. And my gut kept telling me. I remember my lawyer. We step out to have a break. We're negotiating. And she's telling me, Peter, are you sure it's time? Okay. Are you sure it's time? But my greed, because the money was good. My greed was telling me, yeah, it's the right time. I'd never seen that kind of money before. I've never thought one day an idea could be converted to billions of shillings. And people want to pay me. You know, we all have imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. And now it's my imposter syndrome is more enhanced, because once you fail in one thing, what you are going through,
yes.
A corporate, where you have a corporate card which is unlimited, you can buy a car with it. And then you wake up one day and you have no fuel in your vehicle. You are going to banks to beg them to support your idea. That's entrepreneurship, and it's the discomfort. You have to be comfortable. You spoke about me, your shower issue. My therapist trained me recently that one of my weaknesses is I borrow grief from the future. Something has not happened. So I'm doing a business, the business plan looks okay. I'm looking for a reason why it won't work myself. Then I start the business, because you start doubting yourself. And you start thinking, maybe in 7 months we are going to run out of cash. And all the things you worry about will never turn out about your worry. They may turn out trouble, but a bit different. So there I am. I'm thinking as an entrepreneur, I've been successful. I have made people money. In fact, for me, what makes me sleep well at night is my investors got a yield. And I see what they have built with that money. And I say, okay, at least this business was worth something. It hurts me that I created a brand, and in my bid to fulfill my greed of selling it and getting cash at that particular time, and I was still very young, I was still in my 40s, I ended up sacrificing my employees. I meet them, who I left with those guys. Some of them did very well, some of them did very badly. And I still get joy when I meet a doctor somewhere who tells me, if you ever decide to go back to insurance, please remember me. When I meet someone who tells me, kuna rumor you are going back to the insurance industry, please, I'm coming to work for you. It tells me that I knew what I was doing, I did the right thing, and I created followers without realizing. So, my biggest headache today is what you're going to pitch. Mostly I'm pitching to brand managers. Most of these brand managers are my daughter's age. 23, 24-year-old brand manager who's making a decision to spend 100 million. We are activating for a brand, or we are doing a product launch. And I walk into that boardroom, and sometimes I walk out and sit in my car and ask myself, is this it? That I came to this world to create brands and pay taxes? Is this it? And it is. That's what entrepreneurship is. You have to be comfortable with discomfort, and that I have to keep repeating. Don't romanticize it. My journey of paying back is to tell people the truth about entrepreneurship. It's not sexy. It is not romantic. The process is tough. The results are taken by other people. It's either your investor, it's KRA, okay? It's your family. And a lot of people do not want to talk about that. We don't talk about that discomfort. Like your story there, I used to admire you, Pauline. I used to see you and think, it's a star, man. It's a star. I would like to be like, but I didn't know about that pain. Mike, I used to give Mike as an example. He's tall like me. He's made a lot of money. When his government thing collapsed, I just thought. I called Mike. Back when he told me that I'm trying something different, I called him and I told him, I'm not sure you can even remember, what are the lessons? And you are you propagated your gospel very well, Mike. You've always said, de-risk. Don't allow yourself to be owned by a customer. Okay. And all of us have gone through, we've gone through that. So until the universe takes me, that's what I'm doing. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't think I can do anything else good to great. I see opportunities. I still go into it in spite of the number of failures. Because I was just learning. I set up an airline when everyone was telling me, don't go to an airline. Failed. And I've been sued by people, and I've had very tough times with that. I went to manufacturing. Also me, what you said, you probably can't remember. I went to manufacturing in the mid-2000s, and I had 39 SKUs of doing shampoos and whatever. And to be honest, I went into that business because Kenneth had sold his business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
But making the same mistakes where you open a kayak because your buddy has opened a kayak. Mm-hmm. And I failed. I failed in it. Success comes from many failures. All of us here are sitting on stories of failures, stories of hubris. You made a decision. Everyone told you, all data told you, you're going in the wrong direction. So you are stuck. We've all been stars in our careers. Mm-hmm. So you go ahead with it. And you just reach that valley and you find yourself sitting there thinking, you have to dust yourself up. What do you do? You're not going to die. You dust yourself up, go to the next gig. So what we are doing today, I need to thank you for this. We have to arm the people behind us with this knowledge that our entrepreneurs, I really used to admire, I wouldn't name them, these top old money guys, they never told us. If they had sat with us and told us, this is what you should consider, then we would have done better. And there is no business school that will ever teach. Business school is theory. Mm-hmm. You have to go to the trenches. So I hope I've answered your question in a long roundabout way.
No, I think it's great the way you've elaborated. And as you talked about mentors, and now we are becoming mentors.
Yes.
There's one person who really, I think, helped me, who never told me, don't give up or don't fear to scale. I had a very good mentor called James Gashui. You remember James?
I remember, yeah.
Very sad that people who are such visionary die early.
He died
guys
so
who are
early.
Crazy here that stay so many years. With so much disaster they make for us. But the good guys, I don't know why they go early. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think, when I used to tell him I'm going to Rwanda, he would say, let me take you. Mm-hmm. He takes me. He says, I used to be in France. I used to work with Kaberuka.
Yes.
I know him. Let me go and talk to him. No, he just goes, Mike, let's go to the meeting. Imagine the guy leaves what he's doing. He goes with me to Rwanda for 3 days.
He believed in you. Just
sits with me. He takes me, let's go see somebody else. Not because he's lobbying for me. He just wants to open the doors without saying anything. I tell him, I need to get a project at KRA. He tells me, hapo siwezi because idea, even though the chairman and the CEO is my friend, I'd rather you go yourself. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, not everybody I know will support me. That's so where I end up, go improve yourself. So I guess part of it is also mentoring. Mm-hmm. I think we have that responsibility to mentor others. So today, it's such a natural instinct for me to help other people scale. I sit in a few companies as advisory board, and I'm really finding I'm helping them join the dots. Why? I'm just thinking, my effort, significantly bit of effort, or some effort is making such a big movement for these guys. Right. Now I understand. I get it. Lenny, Lenny, you're in media. Pauline and Peter and myself have gone through that chaos where I open and see a blogger saying, this business might go for $50 million or whatever. It is because of X, Y, Z. I read the story. I say, what is this business? Mm-hmm. I am driving my son to school. My driver is there. Then, I'm coming to Peponi. There's an intersection, And then there's a gutter press. I see my face, headline, like this. I say, eh? So I ignore. You know how you sit in Bele? You ignore. You turn like this after 1 kilometer, the son tells you, he's young. Imagine it's maybe 7 years, 8 years. He tells you, Baba, I saw your face. Why haven't you bought the newspaper? You say, I tell him, no, forget, that's just story. Then by the time he comes in the evening, his classmates have told him the story.
Yeah.
But how do they know the story? The parents of other kids were in traffic. They saw the story, they bought the newspaper. Between where they bought the newspaper to the school, the parents have already discussed, oh, Mike never did. And I realized, I have to own this story, because who's going to own the story for you? The blogger, your competition was put, no, today for 100,000, you can put anything in there,
Of course.
in the press. So one thing I would like to know from you, how, especially from your experience, how do you manage brand? Because founder, at the end of the day, you raise money as a founder because of your reputation.
Yes.
You go to Europe, you Google, they find your name there. You have to start explaining. I think for me now, what I do before I start any investor meeting, I first tell my story.
Yes.
I say, this is what happened, this is where we are, this is where we are. Even for me, the decision to go and sue government was not even because of money. I don't even care about that money. It was just my name was bigger than this maneno. Is that correct?
Right.
To show, because I can't be fighting with somebody in government who canceled my project. Now she's no longer in government. She owns the story, what she says and what they say. And yet, they don't understand the disaster they made in my life, right?
Yes.
So you have to own the story moving forward. So for you being in media, how would you advise us and founders there, when things go wrong, how do you own your story?
Yeah, great question. The first thing I would tell anyone, if you want to put yourself out there as the head of your corporation or as the face of your brand, have a professional team that you can fall back on to manage any fallout, anything negative or anything positive. You need that. You know, unfortunately, as you said, we have a lot of hubris. We get to a point where we start drinking our own Kool-Aid. We believe that we're just the guys.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, and you believe you can do anything. But it's always great to have a professional team that you can fall back on. You don't have to have them fully employed at the time or anything, but identify people who you can work with whenever anything goes wrong so that they can manage your image. And in today's world, it is so critical because, as you say, bad news goes around the world before good news gets out of bed. So you have to have people who are actually looking out for this and actively managing your reputation and your image. Because as you rightly say, before any meeting nowadays, people, the first thing they do is Google you. They go to LinkedIn, then they go on to other search engines just to find out what it is about you and everything. So you have to find a way to get people to manage that for you. So there's even ways in which you can make sure that the good things about you appear above the bad things. Because in search engines, no one goes to page 2.
That's true.
Nobody goes to page
after
2.
Page 1.
Yeah.
See you.
So it's very important to do that. And the second thing I would say is have a very conscious view of you as a founder, what your role is and what the role of the company is. And if you want those two to go together or do you want them to be separate? Some people like Richard Branson. He's always going to be associated with Virgin doing all the outlandish things he does. But there are other people who you'll probably never hear of. But the company is very in people's faces. So you can also decide, I'm going to stay in the background and let the company's name be the one that is out there. So that also shields you from a lot of personal attacks. So for example, like if I was to ask anyone, do you even know who's the global CEO of a company like Procter & Gamble?
Actually, no.
You can't tell.
Cannot tell.
You don't know.
But a consumer-led product, Lenny, just 1 second. A consumer-led product and a business-to-business-led product has a different conversation.
That's true.
If I'm selling a product and it's mass market, people don't have to know. But if I'm selling you, for instance, Lenny, I doubt there's no corporate that you work with that doesn't know you.
That is true, and that is one of the things that I have had to consciously start changing. Because even like you look at McKinsey or Bain Consulting, do you have to know the CEO?
Because now they are many years later.
Yeah, their reputation goes before them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So we have to start consciously building the reputations of our companies for excellence in our fields, so that the reputation outlives you as a founder. And I like what the discussion we're having about legacy business. That is how now the business becomes a legacy. The business has its own reputation that is not tied to the founder. So for too long, we as founders, we end up being the public face of the company. But we have to start building that image of the company consciously and building that brand so that it stands on its own. So that even after you've faded into the background, or even if you say you're going to sell or whatever, the company stands on its own. And that is something that I'm also struggling with at the moment, and something that I'm actively working towards to ensure now that the name Saracen will outlive me and outlive us, the founders and the business partners, and continue to the future. And there's a clear brand that we've put around the Saracen name. This is what we want the brand to stand for, and that's what we're going to continue building.
I think, Mike, also to his point, you talked about hubris. And I think one of the things that we fail in as entrepreneurs is we believe in ourselves too much, particularly when we have succeeded. When you've not succeeded, you're very quiet. You're actually pushing the name of your company. But when you walk in now and you're like, I am the Michael. I am the Pauline. So I think it is really also an ego thing that we, particularly for us with our African business, is to learn consciously to separate, like Lenny is saying, that your success perhaps is on something else. And I know you had asked me, like, one of the things that I hear from founders when I'm consulting, it is really thinking you are a monopoly of everything. You maybe are a very good business developer. And that is why your business is prospering. It may be you create very good product, but perhaps your people's skills are very wanting. So it is good to associate a brand with its own resources, its own the way whatever it is that is selling, whether it is consumer, whether it's it is B2B or even B2G, whatever it is you're doing, you need to quietly start stepping back. Just like the way age is telling us, start stepping back. And that is why we're here, Mike. If we were 20s, we would not be giving stories. We would be like, I don't want my story to be shared. Exactly. But today you can be able to say, that is my company. But personally, these are the challenges and the mistakes that I made.
Yeah. But also, that brings us to a little bit of a controversial question. Or not. Maybe I would like you guys to think about it. We all build our businesses. Peter, when you used to come and walk through my business, it was in a time when the political regime then encouraged significant level of innovation.
Correct.
We were not traders. It pushed us. We came from, I remember it was between 2000 and 3 and around 2012, my business grew 700%. I came from a business that could do 100 million to 2 billion within 10 years. That's a lot.
Yes.
And I remember I would get projects from NSSF. I never knew anybody at the board. KPLC, I never knew anybody at the board. I would do transactions with big brands. I told Safaricom, I never knew anybody at the board which board. People just gave me business because I was good at what I did. So we came from that evolution where it was be the best at what you are. Then we came to the next evolution, which is the next regime, which things are changing. It's who you know somehow. It is who you know, who is your, I don't know, godfather. Somehow that is a very chaotic area that we all went through. Is that correct?
Yes.
Since we become very transactional. What's going to be the future in the next 20 years?
For me, I advise on the governance side, make a chairman, maybe get an ex-CS. Or an ex-government person, so you don't want PP.
But then you have your
PP. No, but maybe who has retired. There are many politicians who left, or people who, like my mentor who has also the chairman of my business, Dr. Steve Mainda. A lot of people don't know him, but he's been in that space. He's ran in the national housing. He's a seasoned entrepreneur, seasoned governance expert. There are people of that nature. So if I want to maneuver the corridors of government, he's able to help me. But he's not a politician. He's not PEP. he's not exposed. You just have to navigate. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all in how to deal with government. I avoid doing B2G business. But you know why? Because of you. It's a lesson. I just thought, I'm not going to design my business to be sustained by government and the whims of it. And then you stay 90 days, 120 days without being paid, sometimes a year without being paid. So you have to build businesses that are agnostic to the regime of the day. Okay? Then pivot at any single time. You know, the first time I've gotten an assessment from KRA is when I'm older. Because before, you used to do calculations, you sit with the account manager, with KRA, you sort out where you can sort out, you have a payment plan. But now today, I think I get an assessment every quarter because I'm in different businesses. And it's always onerous. You're going for ADR. So the tax is what it is. But you can be actually political agnostic. You can decide.
Pauline, what do you think? Interesting, because you know, it's sad that you've said that you don't do business in government because of people like me. And I've met very many people who use me as a case study of why not to do business with government with a long-term view.
Yes.
And I find it quite sad when somebody tells me, I just want to trade. I get my thing, I dash out. But the projects I was going to do with government was going to connect me to government in a very long time, because you're building a national healthcare system,
yes,
which even now you can see they're building the way it's difficult it is, because people don't realize it's a career calling for you to build a national health platform for a country. It's a career, let me tell you.
Yes.
You do nothing else for 20 years for that country apart from that project.
Right.
You can't do anything else. You understand what I mean? It is the only thing you can do in your life if you decide to do that.
Yes.
So for me, it's almost like somebody comes and says, I'll never touch government again. Me, I know from your experience, the best is to touch and go. So touch and go doesn't mean they're going to do the right thing. Touch and mean, let me maximize my extraction from government as much as I can, which is really what I'm saying. It's a whole change of conversation, because you're coming from where you said, what is it I can do for my country based on my capacity and knowledge, right? Now it is, how much can I take and dash? These are two different conversations. That to me is my saddest moment in my turning 50 next week, asking myself, how did I get here where people are so cynical, they're not willing to help their country. They're willing to just grab and go. For me, that's a very sad situation for the next generation. And trying to understand how they're going to move, because the country won't grow unless you grow. We can't say the only contractor is a Chinese contractor. The only me, when I was growing, there was Nganga construction, there was whatever, there was nothing. Now I ask myself, who is the contractor? This housing project, who is doing? Doing nani?
Yes.
So the question is to you guys, how, if your children are going to do business tomorrow, and some of them, your daughter who is 28, your child has just graduated school. Lenny, you know where we are with kids. What are you going to tell them? And when they want to jump into business, that's the question. What are you going to tell them? Just go and innovate and figure out, can you really operate in business without government? Because they also play a role in regulatory.
Of course.
Maybe launch a product that requires regulatory approval. How are you going to operate? And then somebody also wants 20% in it. How do you manage and how do you grow? Do you tell them to go and scale up in a market where, this is another thing. Maybe as a foreigner, you go to South Africa, maybe they also got their own challenges in terms of you as how do you manage when the world is becoming more open? Okay, but at the same time, the world is also saying, come to America with $5 million, I give you a golden visa. So does that mean when you make $5 million, when you should have invested here, you're going to go to America? Or they're going to take the money you've left them and go to America? What do you think is going to happen? Anyway. I don't think there's an answer. It's just you throw it in the air.
I don't have the answers, but I think, number one, you're very right. What he's saying is that we are afraid of doing business with government because you're sure that is the easiest way to go broke. Because you'll not be paid, you're going to have a long, long process. And I think for us, when we sit here and have this conversation, we are starting to open what many people are not talking about. We are not talking about it. We only look at Mike, we gossip behind the scenes and say, did you see what happened to Mike? You see, so we are never addressing the the challenge. And what I'd say is that the first thing is we address the challenge like we're addressing it. Number two, let's look at what policies need to be put in place. And there are no other, there's a time we say, when you're growing up, when you're younger, when you're 25, you see older people going for, rush or those things. Yes. And then you realize one day in 2 minutes, I'll call it 2 minutes, yes. You wake up and you're like, we are the ones going for those things. Look at it.
And every other 2 weeks or
yes.
1 month, you're in Mchango.
Yes, and you don't even know the songs. And the reality now, we are the people to challenge the policies that are set in place. And I really congratulate you, Mike. Going to court and taking government to court is no mean feat. It is about courage. That we must have the courage to face these situations as they come, so that we are not just, what are those entrepreneurs? Yeah. You go, you are paid because you know somebody, you pay half the money because the person has to pay you, and you have to pay them to even get the traders. These are the things that we need to stand up and say, let us be courageous. I think Gen Z has taught us that we need to stop hiding. The proverbial ostrich, which I hear does not even hide in the sand, but we still always use that. We need to actually stand up and say, like I think yesterday I had a conversation with my son, and it's a case of where you are now telling him, this is how business is. And now the younger generation is aware of the effects of the political situations. And it's not just in Kenya, it's global. It's global. You're seeing how many, like now, even being in government, how much dollars has Elon Musk lost in his businesses?
A few billion.
Yes. Billions. And we were admiring during the day of inauguration and saying, look at the techpreneurs.
Behind them.
Yeah, behind. This is where.
In 1 month.
Yes. 1 month, I don't think they're the happiest of the lot.
But I think they'll make it back.
Yes, they'll make it back. And that is the story. Mike, when I met you and we had a conversation, there's a statement you said and we laughed together. And we said, no matter what circumstances we go through in this, entrepreneur journey, we'll be back. And we go down, your business tanks, you've lost a big order that you were hopeful that was going to change a few things. But today you're here. And I think I alluded to that. And this is the thing that you're telling the younger generation. It's not going to be smooth. I've told you, I'm also writing a book. You know what the title is? Unashamed. Why? Because everybody wants to hear Pauline Warui. Then she went to corporate. And then she rose. Yeah. And she rose. And then she opened a business. And then she rose and rose and rose. Where? The tears.
Yes.
Nobody knows the tears. The banks following you. Yeah. I was heavily mortgaged when I left employment. But why? Because I believed in myself so much. I am not the girl you fire. I'm the girl you hire. So how would I not be able to pay my mortgages? Yet I am supposed to be in employment. Whatever I touch turns to gold. This is what we believe. And these are the stories that we need to look at. So we are telling our children, even when you are going for that government business, you need to do a feasibility study. Don't also get caught up in the quick money. Entrepreneurship is not about quick money. Yes, you're afraid you make quick money. But unless, I talked about the story of the engineer, until you build the foundation, I'm telling you, there's nothing called deal. Deal itakuja, but the deal will slay you. It will burn you. Because it will also put you in a lifestyle that you are not accustomed to, and that will actually even deplete what you have invested. For me, that would be what I would tell a younger person.
Interesting you've mentioned. I don't know. I bought a building as a business on Riverside.
Yes.
My dream, it is silly, but in 2013, 12, when I bought the building, I was not even 40 with a business. And I remember convincing my shareholders, let's build a building. In my other business, we had the same business, 7 Seas. We're in 4 floors. 4 floors on Westland. So we decided, let's buy a building, okay? Yeah. On Riverside. There's also this wishful thinking. You go to New York, you go to Nairobi, you go see there. ICA Bank, you go see somewhere, I don't know. Then you think, even me now, I think I've reached a point where we can build a building, buy a building, 4 floors, and put your logo up there.
Yes.
You know, if you ask me, I should never have bought that building. In multiple dimensions. One, it creates significant envy.
Yes.
True, it's keep it up with the Joneses.
Yes.
You're thinking, even me, I need a building. Today, it's one of the things I ask myself, like, why did I ever buy this building, right? It took me significant courage. One day to just say, I'm going to rent this building out. You know, first we furnish it amazingly.
Yes.
Then one day I just said, why am I even keeping this building? So recently, I just said, I'm going to rent out this building fully. What I do with it, however they demolish the partitions, what I did, doesn't matter to me. Is that correct? Finally, I did it. Which was a decision I took 4 years to make. So I lost 4 years of revenue, and then bill is also mortgage. So you also have constantly, you're there with the bank, negotiating. This interest is rising. Kila kitu. The ones who owe you money, you have to sue them again for them to pay you the money they owe you. Imagine, you have to sue them, number 2, for them to pay you what they owe you. It's not like on the other side, you also have significant challenges. People pushing you. So sometimes I ask myself, what's the true price for scaling? If I'd remained in like a small office on Westlands, scaled, maybe I would have remained like that guy in where they know those very very wealthy entrepreneurs who sell beans.
And
Where is that place? They used to sell beans. The guy has a shop in downtown Nairobi. He sells maybe tons of beans. Do you even know him? Does he have a logo there in his building? So maybe sometimes I think, are we jaded? Is it a jaded thinking? And am I saying that somebody should not do that? I'm not saying I think people should aspire and do that. You should not look at my story and say that you should not do it. I think we should do it. I think it's just that underlying your underlying risks and also being pragmatic that we are the way we are. We still got a little bit of scarcity mentality. Where should you excel? And why should I allow you to excel? Is this crabs in a barrel kind of mentality.